They screamed for her, but they never found her. So they say, yeah, Miranda. But there was other people too that disappeared up here.
I don't know anything about the Indigenous story around Hanging Rock.
Yeah, I know nothing about the Indigenous history.
The only thing I know is what I've read around the kiosk and tourist area down below.
I would like to know more, but I don't really know much about the Aboriginal history here.
An acclaimed novel and film put it on the map, but now activists are trying to refocus the spotlight on Hanging Rock, north of Melbourne. For most Australians, the area is instantly linked with Picnic at Hanging Rock, about the mysterious disappearance of schoolgirls last century. But campaigners believe that fictional story has obscured the real history of loss and dispossession.
For many, Hanging Rock is the story of a group of Victorian schoolgirls who vanished during a trip to
The main thing is the change of sort of like association here. So when people come here, they're not climbing the rock and calling out for Miranda. They might actually stop and think about this, 26,000 years of history that's gone missing here.
That's the scary bit, isn't it?
Yeah, mine just snapped in half before.
The bread.
I grabbed the last one of these.
I think it's very important what Amy's doing. I think it's a great way of getting to the real history of what this country's all about, exposing a lot of these myths.
But I was interested in the campaign just because of what it's, the truth it's bringing to light, and I'm about truth, I guess. So.
Well, it's quite interesting and it's quite different, and I think it'll generate a fair bit of publicity, and some people will sort of be wondering what it's all about, and others will generate some interest in it, and we'll see where it goes.
I've read a lot of the responses on Facebook from the ABC on Amy's Facebook page, and it's interesting how wedded people are to Miranda and the story, and how a lot of people think it's true.
Is the movie itself responsible for people not knowing the Indigenous history, in your view?
Well, I think this is the thing. I think Australians have a lot of anxiety, like white Australians have a lot of anxiety about our history. And there are certain things that we do in order to sort of appease our anxiety about our place in this land and the way that we've sort of taken over the country.
So there's a lot of people very curious about Indigenous history and the relationship between Australia's Indigenous and white.
What's fascinating is that there's no prompts in the landscape to make you think of other real traumas, which is like the fact that all the Aboriginal people in that region either died of smallpox or were murdered by settlers or displaced and moved to Aboriginal missions.
Like the whole Miranda story has kind of been the bane of my existence. People just yell Miranda at you every time they find out your name's Miranda. Everywhere in the world, people do that. It's like, why do we know this fictional story? And I don't know the names of the people who were forcibly removed from here, which is I mean, that's true, that happened, that's continuing to happen, and that's not okay.
It is believed the site was an important intertribal ceremonial meeting place, but it is evident that the damaging effects of colonial occupation have severely disrupted the transmission of oral history and connection to country, so crucial to Aboriginal culture. What is missing at Hanging Rock are not white schoolgirls, but thousands of years of Aboriginal presence, stories and culture.
The setting is a beautiful home site near a creek. A group of heavily armed visitors barges in without knocking, looking around inquisitively.
Hello? Yoo-hoo! Anybody home? Bother. What a nuisance. Ask some of those homeowners over there, irrelevant bystanders, if they'll show us around. Hey, you, the extras.
You're just a bunch of squatters telling tall tales, exaggerating, embellishing, and it's our country, the High Court said so.
Well, did we tell you the one about the schoolgirls? You know, the virgins they were. White bloomers and kid gloves and slow motion hairbrushing, golden locks and all.
We're going to get rid of the most notorious white vanisher from this site. Miranda Must Go. We'll hoist her up on a big crane and lift her right out of the place.
Perform a symbolic decolonisation as the first step towards creating mental space to imagine an actual decolonisation. It's brilliant.
Oh, it's nuts.
It's not nuts. It's absolutely crucial.
It's not hard to fall in love with the place, and falling in love with picnic at Hanging Rock seems to be part of that for a lot of us that move into the area. And I think for 18 years I have not once questioned what that story does and what that story disguises, and this kind of romantic harmless story is in fact not harmless at all, and that it's taken so long for me to even acknowledge or question that in any way. Thank you for the campaign, because personally it's enabled me to do that, and I'm sure it's going to help a lot of other people to do that too.
Artistic approaches or other approaches to history or approaches from council, I think they have their most power when they are connected to local sites, because that's how you think concretely.
These myths also created real violence, not just discursive violence, in that in Gippsland the white woman of Gippsland myth led to a massacre.
You know, talking about the story of the white woman who was supposedly kidnapped by our people, which was the excuse really to massacre us out of existence. It's a brutal history and it's a tough one, but I think that the younger generation are the ones who are saying, well, you know, they've heard all the talk and it's just ongoing. It's about finding a true and honest way, and one that we can all live with. And this is a magnificent start. I'm really happy I came today. I think it's wonderful, and it's a wonderful group of people, and it's just so inspiring. Thanks.
This gets narrative right, folks. This country's based on a lie. Terra nullis, empty. And it's all based on denying us our humanity and our existence and the right to live in our own country the way we want to. Anyway, I really appreciate this sort of stuff, and it gives us something to do. It connects the local community with Indigenous people and real issues that affect us. This is a very important topic. We could do it properly here. Bring our ancestors into things, you know, and do proper ceremony and divinity law.
That idea, Robbie, of a corroboree and what people were saying about your capacity to dream. I just wondered if that might be a nice kind of embodied way to do to essentially do the research rather than getting historians to do some research. I wonder if the local government could fund an intertribal gathering.
We need to heal ourselves. So if that was made available, that sort of idea, and then the bigger picture of a treaty with the wider community here can happen as well. But we need to sort our business on the ground to begin with. So maybe that can be supported.
So council's very keen to do it.
I think a lot of people would go for the idea of a treaty principle. I'm not saying you have
so
to.
are you talking about a local treaty?
Local, it's layers of treaties, layers. You can treaty with everybody and everything, you know. So it needs to happen at that level. And if the local government and the local mob done a law, that would hold the law of the land.
I think it's a great idea, and I think maybe they've been searching for terminology for what it is they're doing, and maybe that you've just coined it.